This is not the kind of thing you ever want to admit out loud. Not to your friends, not to your therapist, not even to yourself. But I need to get it out. Because if I don't, I'll keep carrying the guilt like an anchor that gets heavier every time I pretend it wasn't my fault. My name is Clara. I'm 33. I was married to Daniel for almost 7 years, and I destroyed our marriage. Not with an affair in the physical sense at first, but with something more subtle, more insidious. I emotionally cheated, and it ruined everything. Daniel and I met when I was 25, and he was 27. He was the kind of man I didn't think existed anymore. Quiet but self-assured, attentive in a way that didn't feel performative and genuinely kind. He didn't love bomb. He didn't play games. He wasn't loud or flashy or charismatic in the way that people often fall head over heels for. He was steady, calm, grounded. I'd dated men before who lit me on fire, figuratively, and sometimes it felt literally. The passionate, intense types who made you feel high one day and unwanted the next. You know the type. Texting you, "Good morning, beautiful," for a week straight and then ghosting you for 3 days. Daniel wasn't like that. He was like cool water after years of burning. Our relationship wasn't some whirlwind love story. It built slowly, naturally. I remember our first date being easy. No awkward pauses, no forced laughs. Just two people enjoying being around each other. When we kissed at the end of the night, it was soft, gentle. I felt safe. After a year of dating, we moved in together. A year after that, we were married. Daniel wasn't perfect. No one is, but he was consistent. He was the guy who remembered our anniversary without needing a Facebook reminder. The one who left me notes on the fridge if he left early for work. Who massaged my shoulders when I was working late, even if I didn't ask. Who helped my mom get her car battery replaced without hesitation. He gave me everything I said I wanted. But somewhere along the way, I stopped appreciating it. It didn't happen overnight. The first crack started maybe 2 years ago. I had just finished a big project at work, and when I came home, Daniel congratulated me, gave me a kiss, and went back to reading his book. It was sweet, supportive, low-key, but something inside me expected more. A big reaction. A dinner out. A "Wow, babe, you're amazing." I shrugged it off at the time, but little moments like that started to accumulate. I began to feel unseen. And I never told him. I never said, "Hey, I need more from you emotionally. I need to feel exciting again." I didn't give him the opportunity to step up. I just quietly started retreating. Around that time, I got a new coworker, Adam. He was 28, tall, lean, with messy dark blonde hair and a mischievous smile. He worked in creative, so our teams overlapped on campaigns, and we got friendly fast. He was charismatic, witty, and emotionally present. He noticed things, like how I switched to oat milk in my coffee, or how I sighed a little heavier when I was stressed. He was the kind of guy who made eye contact and held it, who leaned in when he talked to you, like nothing else in the world existed. I didn't feel like just a coworker around him. I felt interesting, seen, wanted. At first, it was innocent. Just small talk, jokes about our boss, lunchtime debates over music and bad cafeteria food. But we started messaging more. First about work, then about life. He'd send me memes late at night, playlists he made, articles he thought I'd find interesting. At first, I'd tell Daniel, "Oh, this guy at work is hilarious." He didn't think anything of it. Why would he? I'd never given him a reason not to trust me. But the more I talked to Adam, the more I kept that part of my life to myself. Not because I was doing anything wrong, I told myself, but because I didn't want Daniel to get the wrong idea. That was my justification. I wasn't cheating. I wasn't even flirting. Not really. But emotional cheating doesn't always start with flirtation. Sometimes it starts with attention, validation, the kind that feels just a little too good to give up. I started dressing a little differently for work, wearing perfume I hadn't worn in years, laughing louder around Adam, checking my phone a little more often. Daniel noticed, I think. Not directly, but in those quiet ways that good men do. He'd ask me more often what I was up to at work, try to plan date nights. But I started pulling away. I told myself he was boring now. He didn't understand me. We'd fallen into a routine. Everything felt flat. But it wasn't Daniel. It was me. I was comparing him to a fantasy version of a man, one I'd built out of quick messages, witty banter, and the emotional rush of being wanted. And Adam. He leaned in. He told me he was single, that he didn't connect with most people, that I was refreshing. When I told him about my stressful week, he said things like, "If I were your husband, I'd make sure you felt appreciated every day." It should have been a red flag. Instead, it was a high. One night, after an especially long workday, Adam walked me to my car. We stood by the driver's side door in the nearly empty garage, and he said, "You know, I always look forward to seeing you. You make this job worth it." I smiled and said something coy like, "I'm sure you say that to all the girls." He said, "Only one." That night, I lay awake next to Daniel, feeling sick. Not because of guilt, but because part of me wanted more. More from Adam. More from the fantasy. From that point, things accelerated. We started texting well into the night. I deleted the threads before Daniel could see them. I lied about happy hours, about working late. I'd spend extra time in Adam's office, leaning on his desk, laughing at his stories. I knew I was doing something wrong, but it was like I was on autopilot. The first time we kissed, it wasn't even passionate, just desperate. He was dropping me off at my car after a conference event. We'd both had a few drinks. I said something sarcastic. He looked at me, touched my cheek, and kissed me. And I didn't stop him. It lasted maybe 10 seconds. But in those 10 seconds, the last thread holding my marriage together snapped. The guilt came crashing in right after. I went home, crawled into bed next to Daniel, and stared at the ceiling for hours. I couldn't breathe. I wanted to confess, but I didn't know how to begin. I avoided Adam after that. Ignored his texts, told him we crossed a line. He said he understood, that he'd back off, that he didn't want to ruin anything. But the damage was already done. 2 days later, Daniel sat me down. He was holding my phone. I'd forgotten to delete one of the messages. "I'm not mad," he said. "I just need to know what's going on." I tried to deny it, downplay it. Said Adam was just a friend, that the messages were taken out of context. But Daniel isn't stupid. He's many things, but not that. Eventually, I broke. Told him about the messages, the time I kissed Adam, how it started emotional, and how I didn't mean for it to become anything more. He just sat there, silent. His face didn't show rage or tears, just this heartbreak, like something inside him was slowly tearing apart. "You emotionally left this marriage a long time ago, didn't you?" he said quietly. And that gutted me more than if he had screamed. He packed a bag and went to stay with his brother. The silence afterward was the loudest sound I've ever heard. The apartment echoed with memories. Our wedding photos on the mantle, the dent in the coffee table from when we built it together, the way the floor creaked outside the bedroom door. He filed for divorce 4 weeks later. Adam texted me once more, saying he hoped I was okay. I didn't respond. I've since started therapy. My therapist says emotional cheating is one of the most misunderstood forms of betrayal, because people don't take it seriously until it becomes physical. But often, it's more damaging. Because it replaces the intimacy, the connection, the us in a relationship with someone else. I didn't cheat because Daniel failed me. I cheated because I stopped communicating. I let boredom, routine, and the desire to feel desired again become more important than honesty and commitment. I told myself I was chasing excitement. But what I really did was run away from the hard, real work of marriage. And I lost the one man who had ever truly seen me for who I was and loved me anyway. Now, I wake up alone. No morning coffee made. No shared glances across the dinner table. No quiet laughter from the other room. Just silence. Cold, sharp, and deserved. If you're reading this thinking about emotionally investing in someone outside your relationship, thinking, it's not cheating if there's no sex, I promise you it is. The moment you hide it, it's already started. And the fallout isn't just loss. It's knowing you were the one who struck the match and watched your life burn down while pretending you didn't smell smoke. I'll carry that forever.